Hello, epic viewers from around the multiverse. Prepare to indulge in experiencing sheer bliss, because today another riveting, captivating, stellar unboxing video is about to be brought to fruition. What items will I be unboxing? What items will I be opening? Without further delay, without further procrastination, allow me to elicit the box. What item is encompassed inside this bulky, hefty, tangible, nifty box? Let's find out. I'm going to demystify the answer to that inquiry right here, right now, so bear with me. It'll only take me billions of picoseconds to extract the item from the box and subsequently flaunt it in front of the camera for you to feast your glorious eyes on. Here we go. The unboxing process is about to commence. The unboxing process is officially underway. Which figurine have I prompted? Which figurine have I drawn forth? Which figurine have I elicited? Let's find out. We have the notorious, infamous, legendary Quan, who's apparently derived from the Mortal Kombat X action figure line. Is he a paradigm of perfection? Is he the epitome of resounding perfection? Is he the embodiment of perfection? Let's find out. I need to scrutinize him to determine his merits. I love his details, I love his shadings, I love his textures, I love his hues, I love his sculpt, I love his aesthetics. He's visually appealing. Of course, I'm an avid, devout Mortal Kombat fan, so I have a proclivity to love Mortal Kombat merchandise. He's a stellar addition to a 6 to 7 inch prodigious action figure collection. Why do I say this? Well, let's open him and further examine him to find out why he's a meritorious, novel, robust, intricate, state-of-the-art figurine. He was likely churned out by Mezco amid 2015. Here's his cardboard back. It apparently comes with interchangeable hands, a sword, and a skull. So he comes with a myriad of accessories. I recollect procuring him via Amazon for under $20. Do I have any qualms about my purchasing decision? At this point, I do not. I wouldn't deem him to be abysmal. But I do have some gripes appertaining to this figurine that I would like to divulge and spew from my vocal folds and render transparent to the multiverse. So, let's get started. Once you remove him from his plastic shell or his plastic tray, you can further assess his condition and determine whether or not he's a worthwhile figurine in person, not just vicariously through my perspective or through the perspective of my camera lens. Alrighty. So, here's Quan Chi. Is he a sorcerer? I think he is. I recollect him possessing divine powers that he can utilize to decimate, ravage, and vanquish his adversaries. Is he sadistic? Is he coercive? Is he malicious? Is he cunning? Is he conniving? Perhaps. I recollect him being a villainous character and not a valiant, noble, stoic, heroic, audacious character. Oh, he may be audacious, but it doesn't necessarily correlate with him being heroic. If he's audacious, he has the temerity to charge in the front lines and pummel his adversaries to death and utilize his mana to trounce his rivals. Is he the nemesis of Liu Kang? Who knows? That's an enigma. Is he an enigmatic character? Perhaps. He's more of an ambiguous, obscure character, but enough about this character's lore. Enough about this character's lore. Let's dive into the nitty-gritty details of this figurine. That sounded atrocious and abysmal and appalling and abhorrent and egregious. Let me revamp that. Let's just examine this figurine further. Alrighty, so he lacks a diaphragm joint. He lacks finger joint articulation. He lacks toe articulation. His head is not relegated to a disc joint. It seems to be relegated to a ball joint. His appendages are apparently not relegated to ball joints. His arms can move inwards and outwards. That's always a good sign. His legs can't be adjusted too much. Their movements are impeded or encumbered by his skirt. His accessories, his attire, they can't really be removed for the most part. I love the spikes that are... I love the blades that are protruding out of his shoulder pads. Or out of his wardrobe. I'm unsure what to call this particular item that he's adorned with. What would you call this on his chest? What would you call this item that's embedded on his chest? Is it a shirt? Is it a wardrobe? We'll just utilize a wardrobe term for now. That will suffice. No need for me to hone in on trivial nonsense. But I love these blades or spikes that are protruding out of his wardrobe. Or out of his cosmetic item. Alrighty. He also lacks double jointed knees and double jointed elbows. He cannot rotate his biceps. His calves, his thighs cannot be rotated either, so he's lacking articulation in ample points. His waist cannot be rotated either. It's quite a shame and it's quite a pity, but you just have to succumb to what the market provides the consumers or forgo buying action figures at all. So it's unfortunate that he can't perform an ab crunch. He does, however, have an ankle pivot. The ankle rocker is relatively minute. It's not as stellar as it potentially can be. So they cut back their costs amid churning out the figurine. Of course, is always at the consumer's direct expense. Is this figurine shoddy? Is he cheap? Is he pitiful? Is he abysmal? He's not, but I would have preferred if he was at least on par with a Toy Biz Marvel Legends action figure. If you recollect in the past, the Toy Biz Marvel Legends retailed for $8 each. They came bundled with a stellar intricate accessory. They also came packaged with a comic book. Furthermore, they had high quality sculpts, they had high quality shadings, high quality textures, high quality aesthetics. They were just the quintessential figurines that your money could buy. Fast forward nearly a decade later, post Toy Biz becoming defunct, now you pay 250% more just to procure a Mezco figurine, and he doesn't have over 30 points of articulation, he doesn't have finger joint articulation, he doesn't come bundled with stellar intricate accessories, he doesn't come bundled with a comic book, so you get less value for your money, but you have to concede to what the market provides or forgo buying anything at all. So implement decisions based on your own volition. I can't determine whether or not you should buy them. If you're an avid, devout Mortal Kombat fan, then perhaps you have a propensity to buy Mortal Kombat merchandise. If Mortal Kombat does not appease you, if you detest and disdain action figures, then you may want to forgo buying him. It's all up to you. He has peg holes embedded in the bottom of his feet. He's not an abysmal figurine per se, but they were slacking in certain aspects amid designing him. His hands can be interchanged. Fortunately, he comes with hands that are fisted hands. I guess you could say these hands are almost fisted hands, rather than being fully fisted hands. I'm going to swap them out. If my figurines lack finger joint articulation, then I would prefer if their hands were semi-clenched together or fisted. I always prefer their hands are fisted, but if they are supposed to wield a weapon, then I would prefer if one of their hands was semi-clenched together. That way they could equip their weapon. So here's his armament. I'm going to equip him with his sword that he could utilize to smite his adversaries that oppose him. I'm going to showcase his hands briefly. I don't want to lose them. He comes with some interchangeable hands. I would have preferred if he just had finger joint articulation instead. Here's the skull. He can be placed into nearly any dynamic pose that you can conceive. Do you wince when you see him? Does he instill trepidation into your heart? Well, he's just a hunk of plastic. He's an inanimate object. But I can never truly discern whether or not he's cognizant. He may not be inanimate. He may be alive. I'm relegated to the 5 parameters. I'm relegated to the parameters of my 5 senses. I'm relegated to the parameters of my consciousness. I cannot see outside the scope of my consciousness. Since everything's cognizant, I cannot confirm or deny whether the figurine is truly alive. I would make the arbitrary assumption that he's not alive, but he may be cognizant for all I know. So it just goes to show you that I don't know anything. I could assimilate knowledge my whole life, and it could culminate in me learning absolutely nothing about the multiverse and about the 11 dimensions. I believe the multiverse is comprised of at least 11 or 12 dimensions, but I could be wrong there as well. Maybe it's comprised of more. We live in an intricate, dynamic, rapidly changing multiverse. But I guess right now science has been able to verify that there's only one universe, but I like thinking outside the box. I believe in divine interventions. I believe that there's more than one universe that exists, and that's amplifying. But who knows? I could be wrong, but I doubt I am. I have faith in my arbitrary assumptions, to say the least. So I digress. Getting back to this figurine, he's stellar, he's robust. I love his intricacies, I love his novelties, I love his nitty-gritty details. He truly emulates the appearance of Quan from the Mortal Kombat series. He's a part of the Mortal Kombat X action figure line. I believe he's a part of the Mortal Kombat X Series 2 wave. The other figurines, a part of the wave, may be Princess Katana and Toto Khan. You can verify that for yourself. I'm just notifying you of what I can recollect. I love the fact that he's not marred with scratches nor scuffs. His appearance is not tainted or impaired by dings or dents. I can't guarantee that he won't become ravaged in the future, but I'll strive to safeguard the figurine. I hope that his integrity does not become compromised in the pending future. His joints are relatively sturdy. I'm not going to tamper or fiddle with the joints too much. He likely has at least 12 points of articulation, possibly even more. Actually, maybe he has closer to 14, or maybe 14 or 18. But I doubt he meets this threshold for having at least 20 points of articulation. He doesn't satisfy that criterion. But maybe in the future the Mortal Kombat X action figures, or the Mortal Kombat 11 action figures that are preordained to be released, maybe they'll be more robust and maybe they'll have more ample points of articulation. I am gratified that his hands are interchangeable. I just would have preferred if his knees were double jointed, and if his elbows were double jointed, and if he had a diaphragm joint, and if he had toe articulation, and if he could rotate his waist. But other than that, I can't complain too much. I need to defer my complaints to another time. Is it to another time or till another time? I guess the phrases are practically synonymous, so it doesn't really matter. But I guess you could say, I need to defer my complaints till another time. That sounds more efficacious than saying I need to defer my complaints to another time. Or whatever, it's all subjective. I don't need to dwell on semantics. So here's the figurine once again. He's flaunted in front of the camera. His appearance is glorious. I would have preferred if he was adorned with more attire. His shirt is sleeveless. His tattoos are intriguing. So, not an abysmal figurine, not the quintessential figurine either. But if you need a Quan figurine, then look no further than the Mortal Kombat X Quan figurine. You really can't go wrong if you relish the Mortal Kombat theories. So, this is my humble subjective opinion. Those are my sentiments appertaining to the Quan figurine. He's robust, he's meritorious, he's stellar, he's novel, he's intricate, he's practically impeccable. I just would have preferred if he commanded a less hefty, less staggering, less exorbitant retail price. But it is what it is. You either concede to the prices that retailers offer, or you forgo buying him at all. So I guess you could say I profited from the transaction. Of course, there's a net loss on my behalf, but I'd rather have the nearly $19 Quan figurine than $19 relegated to a savings account that is preordained to depreciate. Of course, it's asinine to relinquish my money on hunks of plastic, but it's my own decision. I'm trying to optimize my jubilance, or my... Yeah, I guess you could say I'm trying to optimize my life to its fullest by reveling in every possible moment. I want my life to be blissful and joyful and not calamitous. So I need to stop meticulously analyzing everything I say, but that will likely not transpire in the imminent future. Maybe in the pending years, but not now. Just part of my character. I'm very anal, I'm very analytical. I assess nearly everything that I spew from my vocal folds, and that I hear if I deem it to be intriguing. I hope that you deem this video to be enthralling and engrossing. Have a wonderful, marvelous day. Goodbye.